Do you know you can make rosemary oil with dried rosemary leaves?
It's definitely a bit of a process. But I think it's worth it.
I feel like by now we've all heard of rosemary oil and how it has all these great benefits for your hair, and it can potentially make your hair grow faster and longer and healthier. And I've even tried making rosemary oil, which you can watch the video for, but I used fresh rosemary in that video, and I found out later that it only lasts about a week, maybe 2, and you have to keep it in the fridge, which seemed impossible to use all that rosemary oil within that amount of time. So today I want to try making it with dried rosemary, because this is supposed to last much longer than a week, and it seems pretty easy to do too. So let's do it. All you really need is dried rosemary leaves. These are obviously pre-packaged. You can also dry your own from fresh if you want. Olive oil is what I'm using, but you can use any oil of your choice. I do think the oil you choose is kind of important, and it depends like on your hair type and the results you're trying to get out of it, but I'm choosing olive oil because my hair is very, very dry, which I talk about all the time on my channel, and I just need something that's very hydrating. So I'm gonna try olive oil this time. Last time I made this, I used grapeseed oil, which also worked pretty good, but grapeseed oil doesn't absorb as deeply into your hair. You can also use argan oil, you can use jojoba oil, you can use almond oil, or coconut oil is supposed to be actually really good to use with this. If you are going to use coconut oil, I would recommend to not use the solid kind. I would probably choose the liquid kind. But again, the oil you choose is totally up to you, but there are many oils that you can choose from. I got my rosemary, got my oil, and last thing you need is a jar. Yeah, I think that's all you need. Let's get to making it. The recipe I'm using is from WikiHow, and the first step they say to do is to sanitize your jar, which is why I have boiling water behind me, so I'm gonna do that now.
I think you're supposed to use tongs to put it in there, but I don't have any right now, so I'm just gonna try to be as careful as I possibly can. I think that should do it. You're supposed to let this boil for 10 minutes, so I'm just gonna set a timer.
This will just prevent any bacteria from getting into the oil, especially because this is a recipe that you just leave out, so you don't want it to go bad. Just drop my phone in steamy water. So we're sanitizing the jar, and then also important to clean the lid. I'm just gonna wash this with soap and water. This is just a regular mason jar, by the way. I'm sure you could use any jar that you have. I'm just gonna quickly dry off the lid too, because I think it's probably a good idea to not have any water in our oil, because they obviously don't mix. Boom. Now I just gotta wait for the jar. Trying to get this thing out of there. I got the tongs. Not worth burning yourself for. Boom. Okay, so my jar is now cool to the touch and it is dry. So I'm gonna grab my rosemary leaves and I have a tablespoon. The recipe says to use a large tablespoon. Just do a nice big, heaping tablespoon right in there. It smells so good. Grabbing my olive oil, and we're supposed to do 2 cups of oil. That's a lot of olive oil. Almost a whole bottle. Okay. So now I just pour the olive oil over top of the rosemary leaves. Alright, I'm just gonna take my spoon and just gently press all of those leaves into the oil. This mason jar holds exactly 2 cups of liquid, so it's perfect. The recipe does say to leave a little bit of space at the top. I'm not sure why. I guess like just in case it's not gonna boil. I don't know. It says to leave half an inch of room, so that's what I did, and that is exactly 2 cups. It looks really cool. Now I'm just gonna put the lid on, and there is our dried rosemary oil. And now this is the fun part. Now we have to let it sit to be infused. Well, it's actually not the fun part. It might be the hardest part out of all of this. Now we have to let it sit for 2 weeks in the sun. And the reason why you want to do this is because the heat from the sun helps the rosemary release its nutrients into the oil, and that is how you get infused rosemary oil. So yeah, I'm just gonna set this on my windowsill. In 2 weeks, we will finally be able to see the end result. to apply my rosemary. I had to look at this thing every single day for 2 weeks, just waiting for it to be ready to use, but we're finally here. I'm so excited to try it. I really wish I had a more convenient container or like dropper bottle for it, but I don't. So I'm just gonna put it in a little bowl and do it out of here. Let's do it. As you can see, my hair is definitely dry. It needs an oil treatment for sure. My scalp is kind of like itchy and just, it needs to be washed. Now, before I apply the oil, I'm actually gonna take this sort of wide tooth wooden comb because I've done a lot of research on scalp oiling and the right way and the wrong way to do it. And a lot of people say that you should stimulate your scalp before you put oil on it. And the best thing to use for that is something with natural bristles. This is wood. This is, I think it's sandalwood. Pretty sure is what this is. I got it on Amazon. I will link it in the description box. But I'm gonna just use this to stimulate my scalp. So I like to just kind of press right at my hairline to make sure I'm not causing any tension on that sensitive part of my scalp. And I did already detangle my hair and it kind of seems kind of tangled again. But I'll just go throughout my whole scalp and I'll do this for a few minutes before I put any oil on, before I wash my hair. Sometimes I do this even if I'm not washing my hair, just to like kind of wake up my scalp. I've just been noticing that it helps it feel really good. So I'm gonna do this for a few minutes, flip my head over, make sure I'm getting the back as well. Now I'm just gonna put some of my oil into this little glass bowl. This is mostly just so I don't contaminate the entire jar by like sticking my hands in there and stuff. I want to try to keep that as clean as possible because it's supposed to last a year, unrefrigerated, which is amazing. I thought it would smell more like rosemary, but it kind of smells like olive oil. A little odd, but it's fine. I'm gonna take a little bit of time, warm it up a little, applying it to my scalp. Make sure to really focus on those front areas. Gently massaging it in, and whenever I feel like it's kind of disappeared from my fingertips, I'll grab a little bit more. You don't need to do a ton, but you do want to make sure you're applying enough too. Cover the ends. I think last time I did this, I did it on wet hair, like I spritzed my hair beforehand, but I've since learned that it's better to do this on dry hair so that the oil can actually absorb fully into your hair. Just applying a nice even layer, and then I'm gonna repeat that over here. I have a little bit left, so I'm going to use that on these little parts that are more sparse. A little really does go a long way with this stuff. I think I'm using a bit too much. Oil is all in, and now I'm just French braiding my hair to keep it contained and keep myself from getting oil everywhere. I definitely think I did too much oil this time, so that's something to keep in mind for next time. Here's all the shit I had. So now I'm just gonna let this sit and let the oil work its magic. It is best to let it sit for anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours. So I'm gonna let mine sit for a couple hours and I'll just continue with my normal wash and style routine, and I will update you guys on the results. Hey guys, so this is the finished results. I've now washed obviously and styled my hair. So this is how my hair looks after using the rosemary oil for the first time. So obviously I don't know if there's any like drastic changes. My hair does feel very soft and it feels healthy, and I feel like it looks shiny too. It doesn't look like drastically different than it normally does. Again, this was just my first time using it, so I'm gonna have to give it more time, at least a few weeks, I'm thinking, before I can really see what it is the rosemary oil is doing, if there's good benefits, if there's maybe potential downsides to using this. I'll have to just wait and see, but I plan to use this every week for the next while until I see changes. So I will make sure to update you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, enjoyed watching me make the rosemary oil. It was a long process and a bit messy, but I think it's worth it. I mean, if it works, then it's definitely worth a try. And I personally have noticed that I have started to sort of lose hair in this area. So I'm hoping that doing these rosemary oil treatments will help with that. I don't think that rosemary oil can really make your hair grow faster, but I do think it can help it grow healthier. Like it can help prevent breakage. It can help regrow your hair if it's thinning. So it's not gonna make your hair grow like 6 inches overnight. That's impossible, but it can definitely help you see some positive benefits in your hair. And I do think it's worth trying if you are like on a hair journey like me. So yeah, that is it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. And again, if you guys want an update on my results using this rosemary oil, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and I will definitely make sure to do an updated video. But yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.